Hello, winners. David Johnson here with the Leadership Ignite Group, Clint Laney and Mike Schmidt. Today, we're going to be talking about marketing and some different ways you can share your past clients, not share your past clients' information, but share information with your past clients to promote your business and market. So, Mike, let's get off to a good start. And I want to ask you, what would be a great CRM, which is a customer relations managing, I guess, is that right? CRM's customer relation management software.
Yep, customer relations management
Okay,
tool.
CR. I
Yeah.
want to make sure I've got that right. Yeah. What's the go-to software right now? Let's say, and for an example, because right now I'm thinking about it for my software, which I use in my opinion, the top of the line software you can use in the market in the U.S. But I want to incorporate, and I've got a company in mind. They're not sponsoring us right now, but it's starts with Hub and ends with Spot. And if I want to use that company to log all of my clients' information, I would know what type of house they bought, what kind of house they sold, how I could help them find another house, how I can give them newsletters for, say, winter time, unhooking your hose when it starts to freeze in the fall. What's another one? Thermal imaging, like Clint was talking about.
Yep.
Let go into that, Mike. What do you think's the best thing for me to start shopping around for a CRM?
Well, it depends on where you're already doing business. If you already manage a website, if you've already got something Spectora, if you've already got a newsletter management tool, you want to think about automations, right? You don't want to be babysitting all these different tools. A lot of them have different APIs, right, that you can connect, or that the developers find ways to connect. And then you've got tool A, tool B. The customer takes an action, and without you interacting at all, they are interacting with tool B, right? So they sign up on your website, and that begins the sales process, right? So that maybe in your CRM, they're categorized as a lead. And then from the lead, maybe you do engage with them, or they take an action once they interact with tool B. For example, maybe a newsletter is sent out and they complete a survey, and that, if they answer correctly, maybe maybe they are tagged by that software as a VIP or an opportunity. And those are the type of people that you really want to make sure that you spend some time on, right? Just because somebody signs up for a newsletter doesn't mean that you need to put them at the top of your to-do list the next day if you've got 10 other things you got to do. So yeah, the CRM, that's just basically going to keep track of every customer you have, make sure it integrates with everything else, especially your current tools. If you're shopping around for a new tool set, it's best to find those ones where the developers are interested in collaborating with other tools. No matter how big they are, some of them always have pros and cons. And if those cons are something that's going to add an extra 10 hours every week to your workload, you want to find a group of tools that all work together. That's the key.
Okay,
a group
gotcha.
of tools. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to have a tool belt where in order to use this tool belt that has every tool, you got to carry around a 80-pound hammer. You know what
Correct.
I mean? It comes with an 80-pound hammer. You can't use anything but this 80-pound hammer that comes with it. No, you got to find a tool belt that fits all your tools, and there's no prerequisites that are going to add extra time and stress to that to what it takes to get the job done.
That's a good call. I have a program. All right, Mike, and tell me if this is close to what a CRM is supposed to do. We have a company that helps us basically ties everything together, all of our name, websites, make sure that our name, our business, address, phone number, emails, everything is in sync, number one.
Right.
But within this site, we put in all of our clients, all of our realtors, and we're able to manage our communication to and from, meaning everything we send out, right, I'm able to access from one dashboard. Everything that we receive, I'm able to manage it. I can start campaigns where we do surveys, we welcome feedback. So everything that we send out, I'm able to access from one dashboard. Is there anything else that a CRM is supposed to do?
I think you nailed it there. Having one dashboard where you can see what tools are doing what. You're able to keep an eye on every customer. You're able to filter them out. You're able to see who has an action that you can take to move that sales process along. If there's a high chance in your field that you're going to have recurring work from a repeat customer,
Yes.
you want to make sure that you follow up with them, because it can take a lot to acquire a new customer, whether it's advertising and all that. But if you've already got a customer who has purchased from you before or who has done service with you before, it's a good way to not put those people, not forget about those people. So yeah, having one dashboard where you can view all that at one time and get an idea rather than trying to juggle different tools. And but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's funny that we brought up this topic tonight because I was speaking with my representative a couple of days ago, and out of the blue, David's name came up. So David, we'll be in contact. We'll be in contact shortly to see if this is what you'd like. I don't want to promote this company. I think they do a good job, but I don't want to promote it. I don't want to seem like this is the only one out there. There's other companies that do this. I think this is a great price point for what you get. And it helped with your marketing. It helps with the way your website runs as well. Not with the running up, but integrating with it. Yeah, we'll be in touch shortly. I'll share it with you.
That's fantastic. I'm a big fan of putting money into the software, having a great product that you're providing for your clients. My website is very performance based. So if I can give you or our listeners any advice, build it like a bus, not a car, just like we have for Leadership Ignite Group. This is something that is performance based, like I said, but like the inspections that you can schedule online, they come in and floods, right? It's feast or famine at times, but like any business is, you're going to have these waves. Okay.
Ebb and flow.
Abnormal. That's life, right? Yeah. It's life. I have learned to take advantage of those lows and concentrate on office work, which is something I really don't enjoy, but I have to do it. Yeah. Because I am a go-getter. I've got to be out there in the field. So let's see. Cloud-based systems provide real-time data to your sales agents, including both those at the office and in the field. These systems increase accessibility to customer data and can eliminate the often complicated process that comes with installing other CRM software. Mike, you're the IT guy. I look for you to provide a lot of data and information for really everything that comes with building your own software and trying to market correctly. So if you say go, I'm really interested in listening to you. So that's what I'm about. I'm trying to, in 23, make sure that I not only cater to the clients that I've had in the past, because I often like to relate to them and make sure they know if they'll have me, it's a clients for life deal. Like I want to make sure I can be there to answer your questions and help you out. That goes so far. Example, time driven. So Mike, let me ask you this, or Clint, both of you, if in leadership, you can't just take great decisions or great influence, but it's a good balance of both, right? So I'm going to change this around to a leadership role. So just because you make great decisions, you've got to have a great influence on those around you. how can you balance that really well? Because sometimes the decisions you make aren't really best for everybody, but they're what have to be done to promote the business as well.
Right. One of my earlier jobs back when I was in college was having a leader who leads by example, right? And that job was roofing. That was a tough job. I don't know how many kids these days would be willing to jump up on a roof. It seems like they have trouble just making it into an office, you know. But anyway, sometimes you find yourself in that place where work is tough. It's dangerous, and I'll tell you what made it easiest. I'll tell you what made it easy or not seem impossible was looking over and seeing the boss busting his butt to get the job done, knowing that he built this thing from nothing, right? Knowing and trust in his decisions. I think that's the biggest thing. Trust and leading by example, I think, are two ways to find that first follower, and then the others can buy into it. Usually, you know. There's a great TED talk on that. There's a guy dancing on a hillside. He's just dancing and going nuts, and everybody was just looking at him like he's a nut. But I'll tell you what, he was having so much fun that somebody else went and they joined in and they're dancing, and then all of a sudden the whole crowd came. And it's just trust and leading by example, I think, are two important things.
I think a lot of people try to summarize leadership or decision making into catchphrases, right? A lot of people will say something like lead, follow, or get out of the way, right? That sounds nice, right? That's catchy. That grabs people attention. And in today's microwave generation, right, that makes sense, right? Most people don't want to sit and read a book from cover to cover. Most people will take a program, myself included, and it'll summarize a book from 15 hours down to 20 minutes. Like, how can you do that? There's so much that's lost in translation. I believe that leadership is the same way. Leadership is not just you dictating. It's not just you listening to a person to give you advice and then acting upon it, right? But it's not those items neither. It's all of them together. I truly believe that I've lived on a philosophy that the most effective leadership is when you strive to serve others rather than accrue power or take control. I think that if you incorporate, and once again, we kind of simplify that, but you take different styles of leadership and you listen to who you surround yourself with. You listen to people that you trust. You read things that come from what you would consider reliable source. And then on the flip side, if you read something that's not from a reliable source, doesn't mean it's all bad. Just you don't know the source, or the source hasn't been confirmed, right? So I had a pastor who used to tell me to chew the meat, spit out the bone, meaning that there's a lot of garbage out there. But just because it's garbage doesn't mean that you throw it all away. Everything has something positive. And I think to implement something, I think you take everybody's suggestion. You take what you've read, you take your knowledge and your experience, and try to come up with the best decision possible. At the end of the day, though, you've got to realize that you're the one making that decision, and you've got to stand behind it. It might not be the right one, right? But it's your decision, okay? And I can't tell you how many times I've made decisions that have turned out to be probably the worst decision I could have made, right? Whether it was because of pride, because of ego, because I didn't listen to the people that I loved or the people that I trusted, and I thought that I knew best. And you end up having to work twice as hard, right? You look back and you say, had I just listened, right? Had I just been bright enough to just take in what people were telling me, it would have made it so much easier. So I think, right, as a collective, as a group, we can function so much better as long as everybody knows, right, their place, I guess.
Yeah.
So What about you, David? When you come
That's
up with a
powerful.
decision, right? When you come up with a decision or you have to make a decision and you know that this decision is A, going to cost you time, B, it's going to cost you money, and might have some not only short-term effects, but long-term effects on how you run, how you manage your business, right? What do you do in a situation like that, right? Talk that CRM, for example. You've got a database, a CRM database that you think is what you want to go with. How do you know? How do you make that decision?
Great question, Clint. Listen, there are times that I have looked back just like you and said, man, I don't know. I've questioned myself a little bit. It came to fruition and worked out. But there were times where at the time I made the decision, perfect. That was correct 100%. And that's why I made it. But then other variables come into play, and it's too late to turn back now. We're not tacking. We got to go. We've got to go. And in the long run, it was the right decision. But I also have this guy above me. I have this amazing sidekick that sometimes I think he's just watching the storybook. You know, he's watching it unfold. And I think he knows that I'm not as patient. And he's watching me struggle a little bit, but I'm learning. I'm learning so much. But in the end, I've been very lucky. Not every time, but for the big ones, like they're right. And later, the doubters, the people that I surround myself with in my close circle, not always agree with me. They don't, and I'm the bad guy, and I will take it because at the time my decision is correct, but the main person around me has later come and said, you were right. This was the right decision. And at the time it was terrible. It was terrible. I was probably
everybody was mad at me.
Disliked. I was very disliked.
Yeah.
But this decision was correct. And later, one by one, people came and said, not in front of anybody else, alone. They were like, you know, you were right. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, I didn't, nothing. I know I told you so. Nothing. Just, you know, maybe next time. Right. So I want to elaborate on something. I'm sort of going to skip off that. At the end of that question, though, I want to answer like I've been incredibly lucky. Right. There's somebody else helping me out. Okay. I can't do this by myself. I'm trying. I mean, I try as hard as I can. But anyways, so there's this Chinese proverb, right? I'm probably going to mess this up, about the guy who he had a horse, right? The horse ran off, and the village came around and was like, "Oh, that's too bad." And the Chinese man's like, maybe so, maybe not.
Yeah.
2 days later, the horse comes back with 7 wild horses. Oh, the village people were like, "Wow, you were so lucky. That's amazing." He's like, maybe not. A week later, his son was trying to break one of those wild horses and got bucked off and broke his leg. The village people again were like, "Oh man, that's terrible.
That's
I'm
terrible.
so sorry. It's bad." And he's like, maybe not. Okay, that same week, broken leg, you know, he's like hobbling around, you know, crutching it through the village. The emperor comes in the village and says, "The war started. We're taking all able-bodied people to fight." Well, he couldn't go. You know, his son had a broken leg. He couldn't go. He's like, "Oh, you're so lucky." He's like, maybe not. And then that's where it ends. That's where it stops. As far as I know, from what I've read. Yeah, because I read 2 different sources, and it stopped right there. Because I was like, "What happens next? What happens next?" Right? And that's where it stops. So I mean, and that just goes to show, like, hey, you never know. And I love telling it. I love telling it because you just don't. You know that whatever happens, it's not a big deal. Silver lining it. I try to throw out some big stuff, and people do. I almost love getting a compliment, but they're like, "How are you so happy all the time?" And I'm like, "This is no effort. This is no effort right here. This is." Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to have a bad day, and you're going to see it then. I won't be down. I won't be Eeyore looking for my tail, but you know, hey, I mean, everybody's got a day, right? That pendulum swinging back and forth. You know, the good, the bad. You got to have the good and have the bad. So,
Mike, that scenario, all right, that David was talking about, probably had something to do with a dog.
Yeah, it did.
All right.
It's oh yeah, yeah. It did very much so. Very
Right.
much
I
so.
can read them like a book. I can read them like a book.
Oh gosh.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, my
so
wife's
listen,
gonna be watching this
it's
on
nice.
Spotify later.
Yes, she is. Right. It's nice. I like Maxwell from a leadership perspective. In the sense that it's an easy read and kind of like with your Chinese, your little Chinese story. Um, you cannot simplify or you cannot quantify what it is you do, how you do it, how to lead, and how to follow, right, in a sentence, right? It takes a lifetime, right, of learning. And I think a lot of people end up getting lazy and at some point stop growing or think I've peaked or I've reached my potential. And it never ends. People don't understand that you're going to continue to grow, you're going to continue to learn. Every situation's different, and you tack with a win and fight against it when you disagree. Some people just don't understand that. Refuse to keep growing. So, yeah,
You just sit on a good one. Keep your listening. That's very important. Keep growing. Don't every day you could have a different perspective on things tomorrow. If you think that what you know today is going to be all you know tomorrow, and you cannot be agile with what your goals are, not to say that you should be giving up, but your goals are going to be different a year down the line, based on the interactions you have, the countless ones you have each day. You just got to keep your mind open, be listening all the time, be seeing. Yeah. So what you just said there, growing up, that just made me think of that. So um,
and
constantly stay open-minded.
what I want people to kind of take away from this is that we might talk about home inspecting, we might talk about the areas that we're focused on, but these principles can be applied to anything that you do, right? These leadership principles, these thought principles, even the CRM portion of this discussion, you can apply it to your business, right? 100%, small, big, as long as you do it correctly. The one thing, right, we always talk about tacking and moving, right? You need to remember that a company's ability to quickly adapt to the changes that you see, as well as the fluctuation in its business environment, are what's going to make it successful. All right. If you can spot trends, if you can almost foresee what's going to happen, or at least anticipate what you think is going to happen, I think you can be successful. Right. So business agility and listening. So
That's
good.
the influence we need right there, Clint. That is perfect. Well said.
Yes, sir.
Well said. All right, with that, I'm going to leave a little bit of a cliffhanger for our listeners. I want them to know that LIG has something huge coming out in 23. That's all the timeline you'll get. That's as close as you'll get for now. But something really big. So keep listening, keep joining, keep tagging, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah. LIG,
right.
Leadership Ignite Group, signing out. Thank you, Clint Laney and Michael Schmidt.
Thank you, Dave.
See you
Thank
guys.
you, David.